Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and the Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. What a week it was in pro wrestling. What a weekend it was just in general. You gotta love Super Bowl Sunday. You gotta love seeing The Rock cut a promo before the game started. You gotta love seeing the WWE commercial during the Super Bowl. Not as cool as the Attitude Era commercial, but few things are in the WWE nowadays. How cool was it to see the hip-hop heavyweights bask in their glory in the LA Super Bowl? Love seeing that shit. Snoop got a lot of shine. Dr. Dre got a lot of shine, of course. 50 Cent popping out of nowhere. I think they were expecting that to be a bigger surprise than it was, or a better surprise than it was. I felt like that took away a lot of, Kendrick Lamar's time, or even Eminem's time. Eminem only had one song, and I would say that Kendrick Lamar and Eminem, I would feature them a lot had I put this show together. But I had not put the show together. It was I wouldn't say perfect, but very, very good. Usually, the rap stars have a lot of beef, but here they are, in solidarity with one another, standing in unison at the Super Bowl halftime show. And it was the rock stars this week that had beef. Beef between Eddie Vedder and Motley Crue's Nikki Sixx. I thought this was pretty funny. I wanted to share it. It was on Loudwire, a website that I go to just read about, more or less metal music. But they had this on there as well. This was a bit like Adam Lambert and Brandy from a few weeks ago. You didn't know who was the heel, who was the face, but you were all kind of just laughing the whole damn time at the whole damn thing. Eddie says that most 80s hair metal bands are cheesy, calling out Motley Crue's Girls, Girls, Girls. And Nikki Sixx fires back, making fun of Eddie's voice. So, yes, we know 80s metal's cheesy. Yes, we know Eddie Vedder's voice is kind of very make-funnable. But we still like it anyways. But it's funny that they're pointing this out with each other, like a good back-and-forth segment in wrestling, kind of like MJF and CM Punk. They're bringing up good points, and that just makes this thing more entertaining. Eddie even says, that his drum set that he used in his solo performance didn't spin, didn't rotate, making fun of Motley Crue's stage show, making fun of Tommy Lee's drum set that famously spun upside down when they played. But in the great words of Matthew McConaughey, Eddie, it'd be a lot cooler if it did. You're making fun of something that's really cool. I mean, I'm not a drummer myself, but I just think that's really, really cool. Spinning upside down. It's kind of like a wrestler pulling out a baseball bat and saying, you know what, this doesn't have barbed wire on it. It'd be really cool if it did. It'd be like a guy pulling a table out from under the ring and then saying, this doesn't have fire on it. It'd be a lot cooler if it did. A spinning drum set is cool, Eddie Vedder. So I'm going to have to say, in this war of words, Motley Crue is winning. Motley Crue gets the edge, in my opinion. I just thought, I try to bring up music beef, try to bring up different things that kind of remind me of the world of pro wrestling. And these 80s and 90s rock stars spit-spatting at each other just kind of cracked me up, and I thought it'd be pretty funny to bring up. But back to wrestling. We got some news before we jump into the reviews here. Killer Kross is going to MLW. I think this is a good move. Of course, not as high profile of where he was, and not as high profile as AEW, but AEW is filling out with talent. Look at Jay Lethal, look at Andrade. They're having a hard time getting airtime, and these were, borderline world champions where they came from. So I think this is a big move for him. He can be a big fish in a small pond, and he can still work in AAA where he worked prior to being in the WWE and get a lot of money and still reach some success going to Mexico and coming over to MLW. Also in NWA news, I know I was going to review the show. I couldn't find it on Fight. I thought it was airing on February 12th. I guess it was just, being, held as a live event on February 12th. I couldn't find it on Fight, but Matt Cardona wins the NWA title. People that were listening to me last week know that I thought this was a great idea. I predicted this idea, and this is awesome here because now you have someone who's fighting against the company. And throughout the last few months here, Nick Aldis has switched face. That's good for the company. Someone that you have synonymous with the title is now a babyface that can go up against the current champion. This is going to draw money. This is going to be very big. This is going to have a great build. Both guys can talk people into the building, and both guys are going to talk me into paying attention to this product that I've kind of fell off of the last few months, since the pandemic, really, last few years. But I was a big fan in 2019 of NWA Power and everything they were doing, I guess, in Atlanta. But jumping over to AEW Dynamite, I thought the first segment was good. Warlow coming out to no music, setting up the cardboard cutouts of MJF's victory over CM Punk. Really good. The Dapper Yapper introducing the rest of the Pinnacle until we get MJF coming out like King Mabel in 1995, like King Corbin in 2019. But it's still really cool to see this entrance, even though it's been done so many times. 4 guys just, with all their might, carrying another person who is just sitting on a throne as they're carrying him, not giving a fuck about the peasants beneath him, carrying him to the ring. It's a great visual. Another visual was hilarious when MJF just got a kiss on the cheek from one girl and then turns around and full on just makes out with the girl right in front of the ring. Before he gets in there, he says that he's better than the best in the world. He's even got the shirt out there and everything. And I thought this was a really, really nice touch here. He brings up the fact that they were full on having a conversation after the match, him and CM Punk. Probably and realistically congratulating each other and showing mutual respect, but he covers this up by saying that he just called CM Punk an asshole after he beat him in Chicago. This is when Punk comes out. Darby and Sting come out. The coolest part about this whole company called AEW is that Sting and CM Punk are friends. I'm still not over that. December 22nd, I was in the Greensboro Coliseum. I saw Sting and CM Punk team up. I'm still not over it. But Dax was, getting on the mic, getting his feathers ruffled, said he doesn't even look good in a suit, took it off, and challenged CM Punk to find a mystery partner, someone who isn't Darby Allin and Sting, and face FTR that night. And he did. We'll get to that a little later. But Dax, stopping Sting and CM Punk from teaming again, you got heat with me on that one, man. The next segment had Andrade in the back with Sting and Darby. Sting and Darby very busy here these first few moments of the show. Darby and Andrade both want the TNT title. Darby has already held it, and I think a match between Andrade and Guevara would be pretty good, so I'm kind of rooting for Andrade in this feud. Really cool Pentagon vignette. I hope that this darker side of Pentagon gets to be showcased a little more, and I hope he has like a Dante Martin-esque breakthrough solo run here with his brother being injured. I think this is the time where they can kind of push Pentagon more so than they would play into his character a little more. I mean, he's this guy called Pentagon on your show, and he's just this happy-go-lucky figure. Like, they really haven't explained the origin story of Pentagon unless you followed with Lucha Underground. You don't know about this arm snapping Pentagon that we all know and love. You don't know about this dark wrestler. So hopefully they can showcase that and have him face Malachi Black and play into that a little bit. This tension with the Inner Circle was also really good. A lot of good talking segments in AEW Dynamite this week. They had the heel run, they had the face run, so the only story left to be told is the breakup. I guess you could tell the reunion story, but you need to tell the breakup story before the reunion story. Santana stole this segment. He is so good on the mic. I put up a little poll saying who's better, Dax Harwood or Santana on the mic. I thought it was going to be neck and neck, and the audience told me Santana. It was like 76% Santana. So that showed me that, you know, the crowd sees what I see. You know, the other fans of AEW Dynamite see what I see here. Amazing, amazing segment. It kind of reminded me of like some kind of mob movie or something here. But this Dynamite, we're going to get Pride and Powerful, Santana Ortiz versus Hager and Chris Jericho. That's going to be a banger of a match. I wonder what's going to happen there. They have my interest. The Super Elite jumped Roppongi Vice, which led to Switchblade kind of helping them with that, or something like that. Switchblade just kind of popped up as they were jumping Roppongi Vice. I thought this was awesome here because it was a bit of a swerve. I thought once they showed Switchblade, I thought that was the surprise of the evening, but then out pops Keith Lee for his debut. We'll get in that a little bit later, but that was amazing. The Bucks spoke about the beatdown a little later in the night, mentioning the past between Switchblade and Kenny Omega. I thought that was really good to play into that. And then a little foreshadowing here from Adam Cole. I really like this line. If you guys can trust me, you can trust Jay White. But can they trust you, Adam Cole? I don't fucking think so. I think that was a great little line there from Adam Cole. Whoever put that line in there deserves all the credit in the world. I love that shit. I love that shit because you know now that Adam Cole is going to turn on the Young Bucks, and we're going to have the suspiciously absent Kyle O'Reilly and the suspiciously absent Bobby Fish teaming with Adam Cole versus Omega and the Young Bucks. This is a feud years in the making that we never thought we were going to see, and it's going to play out in AEW. You can just see it from a mile away, and I'm running towards it. I can see it coming from a mile away, but I don't mind it. Adam Cole is also the #1 contender for the world title, but I see him losing his shot, or not losing his shot, but losing in that title match, because I think that he's better suited in this 6-man feud that they have bubbling up with this, you know, this great foreshadowing line. And once Kenny Omega is healthy, they're going to be off to the races with that. Britt Baker being the one that got Mercedes Martinez in AEW. A little convoluted of a start, but I don't mind it because we're going to get Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker at the end of all this. And we're also going to get a nice Thunder Rosa Mercedes Martinez match out of all this too, beyond kind of the schmoz with the pipe and everything. AEW Rampage, not as good as the last few weeks, but still pretty good. Switchblade attacking Trent after the match. I wish that Switchblade attacked somebody who wasn't in New Japan before. This kind of just feels like a bad New Japan match or bad New Japan feud when they could really have done, you know, a dream match scenario with Switchblade coming in. It's cool that he's in AEW, it's cool that he's working, but I wish they would just have picked someone else that wasn't in New Japan already. Danielson and Moriarty next week. Sign me the fuck up. Layla Hirsch versus Chris Statlander video package. It was pretty good. I always say the WWE does video packages better than any other wrestling company, but AEW has given them a run for their money as of late, and they're getting me invested in Chris Statlander, which is something that only the Blade has been able to do. So that's pretty good video package. Those are my overall thoughts on both AEW television shows this week, but we're going to be breaking down all 10 matches for you guys here on Curtain Jerkin. Number 10, Deeb versus Arquette. I really like Deeb coming out, starting her 5-minute rookie challenge, but she taps her out in 62 seconds. So it wasn't much of a match. So it sits at number 10. But as usual, the last position is more of a golf clap for the competitor that wins than just a bad match. Number 9, Baker and Robin Rampage from Rampage. Robin hits a lame sloppy frog splash. Baker hits a big curb stomp, 1, 2, 3. Lockjaw after the bell. Rosa comes out. She's seen enough. Hager and Martinez comes out. They make the save for Baker. Once again, I'm hyped for this. All 4 ladies involved here are great wrestlers, so there's going to be some good matches here. They just kind of have to get to it, get it going a little bit here. Hook versus QT Marshall, or Hook versus QT Marshall's Blake Lee. Blake Lee looked okay, but not as good as Hook. It sits at number 8. Hook very acrobatically counters a hip toss. I've never seen that done quite like how Hook did it. And then he locks in the red rum and taps out Blake Lee. Number 7 out of 10, Warlow versus Blade. Everything that Blade does is a little better than you are expecting it to be. Blade very crafty, gets the upper hand in the early going, and then that just gets the crowd kind of confused, interested, which the crowd goes nuts for at the end of the match when Warlow starts the powerbomb symphony. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 powerbombs. 1, 2, 3. Warlow gets the victory. Number 6 out of 10, Jade versus AQA. AQA making her debut. Booker T trained, hits a hell of a shooting star, but Jade does win. Kind of sits in the middle of the pack here. Number 5 out of 10. This was a big showing for this debut. Keith Lee versus Isaiah Cassidy. It was hard to put it up there toward these other matches that are gonna, that we're gonna be talking about later, because it was such a squash match. But I was just as entertained with this squash match than I was some of these competitive matches. Keith Lee just absolutely launched Cassidy and just whooped his ass all around the ring. They did not overthink this one at all. JR was putting it over. Matt Hardy ran off. Big slam. 1, 2, 3. Quinn gets his ass beat 2 in all this. Keith Lee was great. Private Party was great. Just all people involved. Matt Hardy cracked me up jumping over. He dipped. He didn't want to get beat up by Keith Lee. And I think he's running away from Private Party after all this. Number 4, Jurassic Express versus the Gun Club. The main event of Rampage. Austin crotch chopping, Jungle Boy crotch chopping, just popping the crowd. Gun Club really impressed me in this match. They came out looking goofy but pretty entertaining. But when the bell rang, they did some solid work. Christian and Billy getting involved. Jungle Boy hits the kill switch, and that's how you let the beat build, bitch. No, that was Lil Wayne. Maybe I'm, got hip hop on my brain after the halftime show. 1, 2, 3. Jurassic Express retain their AEW World Tag Team titles. But number 3 out of 10, Punk and Mox. Moxley was his mystery partner versus FTR. FTR cutting the ring in half like they always do, no matter who was in there, Punk or Mox. Punk and Mox hit a doomsday device. This was pretty cool to see. Wheeler hit Punk with a ring bell and got a 2 count. I thought that was kind of bullshit. I mean, you got to protect the ring bell more so than you protect Punk. Punk, as big of a star he is, that ring bell ain't ever going away. You got to keep that ring bell strong because you can use it on anybody, any opponent. But now that you have Punk kicking out a 2 from a ring bell use, like, it kind of eludes ever using that again. But Tully comes in, gets caught with the GTS. That was hilarious. I'm hooked back in after that. Wheeler caught 1, 2 for his troubles. 1, 2, 3. Punk and Mox get the victory. It was a great match. It was a fun match. Number 2 out of 10, Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks. This was awesome. I remember Wrestle Kingdom 9, my first kind of full show that I've ever watched from New Japan. This was the first match where these two teams kicking it off. At least these two teams were involved. There might have been one other team involved, but these two teams were involved. So it was really kind of flashbacks to, how much I love New Japan now. We're going to be talking about New Japan later, but these guys were involved in the first match that I ever really saw from New Japan. Sure, I saw tapes from my uncle as a kid. I didn't really know what I was watching, and then I would watch on YouTube. I'd watch some New Japan stuff, but as far as sitting down and watching a full show, this was the first match that I ever saw. Bucks hit a super kick on the top of the ramp, trying to beat the 10 count. Cassidy slips under the ring. This is when the Young Bucks go to grab him, but they end up grabbing Danhausen. I still don't know why Best Friends are with Danhausen. Maybe we'll figure that out. I don't know. Back to the match. Strong 0-1-2. Nick breaks it up. Doomsday. Matt lands on his feet. I thought that was pretty cool. Meltzer driver 1-2. Rocky breaks it up. BTE trigger to Rocky 1-2-3. The Young Bucks get the victory. And then when I was watching Dynamite, I was like, man, this main event's not going to beat this Punk and Mox versus FTR match. Boy, was I wrong. Hangman Page and Lance Archer. This match needed to happen. Of course, Hangman Page beat Omega and then went on to beat Bryan Danielson. But the kind of hang-up there is, of course, you have a good matches with those two. Lance Archer is no spring chicken. He's has some great matches in his past. But I think this world title run needed a match where Hangman was the better worker, which I do think Hangman is the better worker than Lance Archer. Even though I really like Lance Archer, I think they needed something like this to kind of solidify this title run. It feels like so far gone were these, the hour-long draw with Danielson, or even the victory over Omega. So Hangman really needed a big win here on live television, and this was a big win and a fucking spectacle, crazy-ass match. When this match started, yeah, like I said, I didn't think it was going to beat the tag match from earlier on. But yeah, I was wrong. They brawl through the crowd off the bat here. Lambert comes in and takes off the top rope, which I didn't really think too much of it. But then they play into the fact that this is going to end his chances of hitting the buckshot lariat to Archer to seal the deal and seal the victory. Hangman gets powerbombed on some steel steps at one point. They're both bleeding like fucking crazy. Archer stabs Hangman Page with a fork at one point and then looks right at the camera and licks it. Holy shit, that beat the Nick Gage pizza cutter thing right there. Jake wants to hit a DDT. The crowd goes crazy. Everyone wants the Jake to hit the DDT. They forget how much they like Hangman Page here, but Archer stops him. I thought that was really good. It kind of pulls, it gives, it pops the crowd with Jake, and then you kind of remember that Archer's the heel. You get hooked into the match. You boo Archer, but then reversal, Hangman Page hits the DDT, so the face gives the crowd what they want. The heel manager gets a babyface pop, which is usually something you don't want, but it's okay right here because the heat all goes to Archer in the end. Very well done here. Very, very well done. Champ bleeding, challenger bleeding, like I said before. Barbed wire forearm to Archer. That's right. Hangman Page brings in a chair that has barbed wire on it, and that's what caused the referee to bend over to kind of pick this up. And then while the ref is bent over, Hangman Page uses him as a platform to hit the buckshot lariat through a bunch of tables. Archer can't get the 10 count. Hangman retains. This was an amazing match. My favorite match of February so far. I'll just say it right now. We're midway through February, and it's my favorite match in February was this match right here. And that's high praise because there were two New Japan shows that I watched. We'll go into the first match, the Curtain Jerkin, because this is Curtain Jerkin, and we'll go into the main event of both shows. One was on February 11th with Iowa, hope I'm saying that right, Iowa, the young lion, versus the veteran Hanma. Hanma, a favorite of mine. I enjoy the headbutts. I enjoy the kind of Hulk Hogan rip-off tights that he's sporting. He's got the skin of the hot dog and a heart of a lion. You gotta love Hanma. Iowa slaps the veteran, but cannot slam him twice. Hanma does kind of power up, slams the young lion with ease. The young lion chest turning red from all the chops that Hanma is landing on him. Hanma hits a headbutt. But to my surprise, 1-2, Iwa kicks out. Young Lion slams Hanma, locks in the Boston Crab. Hanma gets out of the Boston Crab, and then gets him in the Boston Crab, reels back. Iwa taps out. I mean, great little match here to kick off the show, but this show is all revolved around the main event. El Desperado defending his IWGP Junior Championship versus Master Wato. Master Wato, came up in the Young Lion system, got this gimmick of Master Wato. Not high praise, not critically acclaimed, never really impressed anybody. But here he is in this junior title match here. But I thought this was pretty good. This was a very big showing for him. Wato in the main event singles match, I never thought I would see the day, but he showed up here. He showed heart, and he brought it to the champ. Wato hits a crucifix pin, 1-2, no snug strike battle. Desperado sit down powerbomb, 1-2. Wato kicks out. Stretch muffler though. Wato fights, and then ends up tapping out. Going on to 2 days later, February 13th, six-man tag kicks things off. Nagata, Hanma, and now Iwa was on Hanma's team. I guess there was a respectful, they respect each other after their match 2 days ago, or 2 days from that point, versus Kojima and Tenzan and Fujita, another Young Lion. Iwa slams Tenzan, locks in the Boston Crab again, but Tenzan powers out, puts him in the Boston Crab, and he taps out again to the Boston Crab. Come on, man. That's like one of the few moves you know, and here you are getting caught with it twice in a row. But much like the last show, the main event was the big selling point, for me at least. Tanahashi and Okada versus Naito and Sanada. Of course, no love lost between any of these four men. But Okada and Naito are, going for the world title. Okada is the world champion. Naito is the #1 contender. Okada and Naito had that amazing Wrestle Kingdom match at the height of New Japan's popularity in America. So, there's always going to be a little more interest in these two guys going at it than a lot of other people. Okada and Tanahashi had a great feud for a while. Wrestle Kingdom 8, Wrestle Kingdom 9, Wrestle Kingdom 10. But now, where are we at now? We were at Wrestle Kingdom 16 a few weeks ago. So they have gained mutual respect, and now they like each other. Kind of like whenever, you in North Carolina, Duke and Carolina, they hate each other. They boo each other all year. But then in the tournament, there's a few Duke fans and there's a few Carolina fans that always want them to go far in the tournament because they're ACC. It's kind of like a camaraderie within the rivalry, and I think that's what we got here while they're teaming up. Sanada goes after the leg of Okada. Tanahashi tags, and Sanada goes after his leg. Okada hits a dropkick to Naito, sending him to the floor, but Okada feeling the effects of Sanada's damage earlier in the match. Tanahashi hits a high fly flow to both members of LIJ toward the outside. This was awesome to see. Back in the ring, Tanahashi, cloverleaf, Okada, money clip. I thought this was it. They escape. Tanahashi goes for a high fly flow again, but Naito rolls out the way. Naito misses the Destino to Tanahashi, hits the Destino on Okada, then hits the Destino on Tanahashi, taking out two legends right there in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Naito gets the victory. Sanada and Naito, they're former tag champs, where Okada and Tanahashi don't really have that big of success as a team, even though they're legends in the singles ranks. This shows you that teams, a strong team can beat two strong individuals. Damn, this match was good. Damn, do I love pro wrestling. This is, an amazing time to be alive here. AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We have WrestleMania coming up, just like we saw with the Peacock ad at the Super Bowl. I'm not watching Raw. I'm not really going to tune into WWE until February 19th, where I'm going to be reviewing the Elimination Chamber let's break down everything from that card right now, and then I'll wrap it up for you guys. Okay, here we are. We're looking at CBS Sports for the match card here. We have Naomi and Ronda Rousey versus Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair. Snooze fest. I guess you want Ronda Rousey to be strong over Charlotte Flair, so I'm picking Naomi and Ronda Rousey. We have Drew McIntyre and Madcap Moss. Wasn't this already a match on WWE Day 1? They're going back to the well here for the rematch. I'm going with Drew McIntyre, and his giant sword will beat Madcap Moss and probably Happy Corbin at ringside. Then we have the Smackdown Tag Team Championship match. The Usos versus the Viking Raiders. We're going with the Usos because WWE doesn't take the Viking Raiders seriously at all. It's kind of crazy to think about War Machine in New Japan and Ring of Honor, and then even in NXT, and then seeing the Viking Raiders in SmackDown currently. I'm surprised they even have a title shot, to be honest with you. Raw Women's Championship match, Becky Lynch versus Lita, a WrestleMania caliber match here in Saudi Arabia. Good for Lita. She can get the money, she can get the bag, she can secure the bag, but she's not going to secure the title. Becky Lynch is leaving Saudi Arabia with the title like she walked in. Then we have Rhea Ripley versus Nikki Ash versus Bianca Belair versus Doudrop versus Liv Morgan versus Alexa Bliss. The Elimination Chamber, the Women's Elimination Chamber. Talk about a snooze fest. I thought the tag match that I mentioned earlier was boring, but this women's match takes the cake. It's going to be boring as hell. I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss because this is her first big match back, and she's over as hell. They put her over Randy Orton. You bet your ass they're going to put her over the entire Raw division. Randy Orton beat the Raw division, so if someone who beat Randy Orton could then just obviously beat the Raw division. Of course, I'm talking about when Randy Orton and John Cena beat the entire Raw division like a few years ago. But I digress. I'm just being silly here, guys. Roman Reigns versus Goldberg. This match actually has me hyped up. A lot of people aren't happy that Goldberg keeps popping up in the WWE, but I like it. I like this Goldberg run. You know, had that good match with Ziggler. Had the, match where he put over Drew McIntyre. I think, didn't he put over Big E? I know he put over Lashley, so he's putting over guys. He's not Goldberging people, as Roman Reigns says. Roman Reigns says he's going to Goldberg. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen. I hope that happens. I hope Roman Reigns Goldberg in the middle of the ring in Saudi Arabia. Going forward, though, the WWE Championship match, the Men's Elimination Chamber match, Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles versus Riddle versus Austin Theory. I think that they're going to have a champion versus champion match at WrestleMania, so you got to put the title on Brock here. And this is a good way to do it with keeping Bobby Lashley strong. So, I'm excited to see Austin Theory in the match. I'm excited to see AJ Styles in the match. I'm not sure who's going to beat Bobby Lashley. Maybe Seth Rollins will beat Bobby Lashley. But whoever beats Bobby Lashley in the chamber will then be his WrestleMania opponent. And I think Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley. The Battle of the Suits. I can see that. AJ Styles. I think Riddle will be probably involved with an RK Bro thing. Austin Theory is. I don't think that match. I can't see that match happening. So I think it's down between AJ Styles and Seth Rollins to beat Bobby Lashley. But I definitely think Brock Lesnar is going to get the title, and they're going to do title versus title at WrestleMania. That's my predictions for the WWE Elimination Chamber. But I don't watch week to week, so take it with a grain of salt. And take this Curtain Jerkin podcast with you on your run or your commute or your, while you're listening at work or just maybe sitting down and having a cup of coffee. Thank you guys for listening. Fly high. I'm out.